My name's Hunter Nelson, and today I'm going to be telling you guys why I think college athletes should be paid. So, college sports today are one of the top forms of entertainment across the world. You got the football playoffs, March Madness basketball tournament, and all kinds of other events that go on through the college sports. Many would wonder why the athletes are not getting paid through all the money that the NCAA is making off of their talent. So one of the things that really makes me think that players should be paid is the fact that the NCAA is incredibly successful and is only continuing to get more successful over the years. And coaches, for example, are being paid millions of dollars just to coach these athletes. I'm not saying that coaches don't have a tough job or don't have to put a bunch of time in, but players have the same deal, if not even more, going on in that category. But the average coach in the Power 5 conference, which would be like the Big 10, Big 12, SEC, they make a minimum at least $3 million a year, which is incredible. It's an unbelievable amount, and I think a lot of that money is from what the players are doing out on the field or the court or wherever they may be. The NCAA, on the other hand, is also just obtaining an incredible amount of revenue. In 2019, they made $1 billion in revenue just over that year. At that point, I would think they should be able to pay some of those athletes that are out there sweating and working hard and showing off their skills, which is what's making the NCAA their money. And another reason would be the rising of ratings. The March Madness tournament creates an incredible amount of revenue. It's one of the most hyped up things. There's an incredible amount of betting that goes on, gambling, and everybody, even people that aren't fans of basketball, really tune into that event just because of the positive energy that comes out of the whole deal. And with all that money being made, there's just no reason that the players that are putting on the performance and all the practicing and time they put in, there's no reason they shouldn't get at least a little bit of that money. Another point I'd like to make is how hard the athletes work. There's athletes all over that are just practicing day in and day out and having to focus on their schoolwork during that time as well, which is just credit to them for that. And I think at that point, they should be able to have at least some money for the minimal free time that they have, because there's college athletes out there that are working out up to 40 hours a week on this sport, and some of them aren't even receiving a scholarship throughout this whole deal. So really, they're just working hard for the love of the sport. But when you have a coach making a minimum of $3 million a year, there's got to be some kind of money credited to these players that are just working their tails off just as hard, if not harder. Like I said, some of the USA Today stated that it is a rule for the athletes to only spend 20 or less hours practicing, which is a rule that's broken all the time. But if you think about that in a job perspective, that's a pretty good amount of money if you're getting paid in the hourly form. And I'm not saying that's quite how it has to go, but that's just to put it in perspective of how much time they really put into these things. And there's players that are on full ride scholarships, which is a great thing, and I think a lot of players deserve that. But there's also players out there that are walk-ons or don't have any kind of scholarship whatsoever, and they're paying for school while putting in hours on the field and in the classroom, which is just incredible. Another problem is the names. If somebody's name, if it's being used to make money, they should be able to receive, in my opinion, a majority of that money. If their jersey's being sold, people are buying that jersey because of the likeness of that player. And if they're not able to receive some of that money, then, I mean, just even hearing that, it doesn't even sound correct. It's not how it should be. And autographs are another example. A player cannot sell their autograph, which a lot of players have super high value behind their autographs and their name in general. And to not be able to make any money off of that, I don't think that should be a decision made by the NCAA. I think they should be able to do what they want with their name because it's their name. And another deal is players are being discussed on television, they're being brought onto shows, interviewed, all kinds of things, and they're not getting any credit. The only thing that they're receiving in that form is recognition, which is obviously valued, but they deserve so much more for the time that they put into what they do. But overall, with how successful the NCAA has been for all these years, it's time for these athletes, it's time for the NCAA to pay up because they deserve at least some money for the hard work that they put in and year out while they're a college athlete. And for as long as these coaches are being paid millions, these players need to start receiving some credit. And any player who has their jersey or name being used to create revenue, they should be able to receive some money and do what they want with their name. And because I feel like that should be their right. But I feel that eventually, if the NCAA does not start crediting these players for their hard work and their names, there could be another organization that starts up that treats the players better, and the NCAA could no longer be a thing in the future if they don't start to treat their players with a little more respect and gratitude. And that's why I think college athletes should be paid.